Hey, 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 what's up, YouTube? What's up, everybody? We're back. TMH, boys, let's freaking go. Exciting show today. How y'all feeling?
What's good with you?
It's good. It's good. Ready to go.
We ready? So, for everybody out there, we got an amazing guest for you guys today. Quick question for y'all. What happens when a vampire gets system powers, fights aliens, becomes a god, and still has time for development? Today, we're going to find out.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Chris, you muted.
No, don't worry, I muted myself. Nice
good?
to meet you, everyone.
Are you in here? Hey, what's going on, man?
What's
This
up?
ain't
What's
Twilight.
up?
Oh, wow.
This ain't
Hey.
This is my vampire system, and today we are talking to the mind behind the madness.
Yup.
Wow.
JKS manga, people.
Glad to have you here, man. Glad to have you here. Definitely.
No, it's good.
Welcome.
I just saw you guys talking about, like, it was really weird. I was copyright striking my vampire system off YouTube, because so many people upload like pirate versions onto there. I was just seeing YouTube shorts, right? And then you guys came up talking about Pocket FM, talking about vampire systems. So I was like, oh, you guys have a podcast, you're trying to start your own comic and things like that. So I sent a message and you guys invited me on. So nice to be here.
Man, we're definitely happy to have you here, man. Definitely happy to have you here. Definitely. And I'm glad you reached out to me, man, because we've been talking about your book for like a few weeks now. We've been talking about it for a few weeks. So anytime I would go to YouTube, because I'm a big YouTube avid fan, so I'm watching other shows and stuff. But every single time I go to YouTube to watch something, your ads have been popping up so crazy, right? Whether it be the anime version of it or a film version of it. I was like, man, what is this? And then I started reading it and getting into the story, and I said, wow, like, who did this story? So yeah, man, I'm glad to have you here. We're all glad to have you here. Definitely. Let's get into it. Let's talk about, like, you know what I'm saying, like how you started.
What's that number again? Just give them the number. Let's start off there.
Yeah.
Brag a little bit. Give them a number.
So actually, it's a bit. So first, like with the adverts, I can't like take credit for that. That's all Pocket FM doing the adverts. I don't want to take credit for all of them as well, if you've seen some of the recent ones. So, because which we can talk about that as well, because they changed the whole story and everything, and they're really like big on AI at the moment. So they're heavily going into that instead of doing the live action ones. But yeah, my vampire system started off as a web novel. It's got 80 million reads on web novel. And then I finished the story about. It's a bit weird for me because it was popular on web novel during that time, but then I finished the story about 2 years ago, and then they sold a license to Pocket FM to make an audiobook, and now it's like even bigger, because now I think it's just like reached 500 million on Pocket FM.
Wow.
So it's like it's got like a second life now, and it's strange for me because I finished, and then people are asking me questions like, "Oh, what happened during this thing?" I was like, "I wrote that like 5 years ago. I have no clue what."
Wow.
Wow.
That is amazing.
That's crazy.
I was just thinking, I'm like, because there's layers in it. There's, you've got power systems, you've got cosmic scale, you've got all these different characters with these different powers. How do you keep it all coherent and evolving through so many chapters?
Yeah, so so there's kind of two types of writers, right, in the web novels sphere, because the difference between writing a traditional book and a web novel is you update the story every day on a web novel. So
Hmm.
I literally write every day 2 chapters. Whereas with a
Ooh,
regular book, you plan the whole thing, you write the whole thing, then it goes to an editor, it goes through this whole process where you can like fix these things. So for me, I actually planned it more like a TV series. So before I started writing it, where I had like each part was going to be like a TV season. Imagine this is the start of number one. Okay, what's the focus? Okay, we're going to focus on the troubles of him being a vampire, him getting used to it all. Okay, what's the end of the first season, right? Oh, he meets a Dalki, finally meets the alien threat. And then what's season two going to be about? What's season three? What makes it different from each one? So now I didn't outline the whole thing. The whole thing is 2,500 chapters. Um,
Yeah.
but I had start and end points for every season. So as long as you have the start and end, it's like you can go where you want, but it's still moving towards a goal. So it feels like everything links up in the end.
got
I
you.
have a question
Okay,
for
so
you.
much more like episodes and chapters. Okay.
I have a question for you. What made you write? Because I'm a writer too, right? But what made you write 2,500 chapters? Like, what was it about that whole process of you, you know, from one writer to another, right? What was your whole process in terms of you thinking about writing? And I know that you didn't start off trying to think about writing 2,500 chapters, right? It probably just turned into that as you just kept writing. But what made you think about doing that many chapters?
I think I always loved the long form media. So, like, if we're talking about anime, my favorite animes are the long ones, like One Piece, like Bleach, like Naruto. So,
Hmm.
I love all the long series. I loved where you get involved in the world and then you just want to see more characters, and then you
Right.
really, you never want it to end, um,
Mm.
because you've gone through like from the start. Like if you take Naruto, like from when he starts to a ninja to becoming Hokage, right? So that I think just because I consume a lot of long form media, that was naturally what I was writing. Like I'm just writing this whole big
Mm.
world, this whole big story.
Mm.
So yeah, and although it's 25, web novel is a bit shorter. So although it's 2,500 chapters, they're shorter
Mm.
than typical like book chapters, but
Yeah.
that's still I think it's 5 times bigger than the whole Harry Potter series. So it's like 28 books. If you 28 Harry
Wow.
Potter books, so it's still a big story.
Wow. So pretty much in your writing process, you just got enthralled in everything. Like, you know what? I can't stop. I got to keep going because now I'm so invested into the story that it's preventing me from stopping. I got to keep writing it.
Yeah, I would say the hardest things were when you're writing one story, you kind of when you first start a story, you have a lot of like enthusiasm for it, a lot of like
Hmm.
adrenaline to write the story. But then some
Right.
way, I wrote Vampire System of the course of 4 years. So some way along there, you're like, oh, I want to start something new. And it's like, how do you stop yourself from always wanting to do something new? And what I would do was, if I had an idea, so say if it was like, oh, I really want to write a mystery. I've been watching mystery shows. I want to write a mystery. Then I just add that
Mm.
in the story. I'd add that in Vampire System. Say like I'm watching Battle Royale and there's like death arenas and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, rather than write a survival book, I'll just add an arc of that in Vampire System. And I
Gotcha.
think because of that, it also kept it a bit fresh for readers. It wasn't always the same thing. It wasn't always a power fantasy. It wasn't always just a straight up one feeling story.
Right. Okay. Cool. Eddie, Chris.
quick question about that. I mean, what's like how much planning is involved, right? Because I know if you're writing 2 chapters a day, like are you just like speed writing these, getting them through, or it's like it's just flowing, so it's naturally coming out? But are you planning chapters ahead, or is it like, okay, got to just get through these next 2 chapters? And I mean, I know you have some idea about the storyline and all that, but I mean, how do you plan for that?
So I plan all of the arcs. So when I get to it, so say I've got the seasons, and then in the seasons itself, it will have arcs.
Mm,
So when I reach that, I'll do like let's say 50 chapter outline of what's going to be in the next 50 chapters. But that 50 chapter outline will probably turn into 200 chapters, because while I'm writing it, maybe I come up with good ideas, maybe I come up with something else that I think is interesting, but I'm still kind of following that outline, so it doesn't feel random, it doesn't feel like out of place. So because sometimes, even because I've got that idea of, oh, I'm going to introduce this later, and then I might get a better idea while writing of how to fit it in or how to foreshadow it. So yeah, I don't. And then basically what happens is when I get close to the ending of the arc, I'm like, oh, I need to outline another 50 again. I need to outline another, like, yeah. So sometimes actually what would happen is when I finished an arc, I would have everything relax a bit and have like a downtime with the characters. And really, while I'm releasing those like slice of life chapters, is when I'm planning the next arc, because I don't know what it was like, fully going to go into.
Nice.
Wow.
You've got something as a backup, so you get it out while you're starting to develop the next arc.
Well, like outline wise, yeah, but not writing wise. I'm the type of person who I can't have a backlog. So if I write 6 chapters in the day, then I'm releasing those 6 chapters, because I just can't. I've always been like that with school essays, everything. Like I'm the person who hands it in an hour before it's due. So I just kind of force myself. The main thing which I like about this is why I say, like, I could have never written it as an actual book, because I never would have been able to write 100,000 words. But because web novel, it felt like, oh, I'm going to lose my audience. I'm going to lose my readers if I don't upload every day, kind of like a big YouTuber. So
and
that was the
honestly, I'm sorry, let it cut you off. My bad. I'm just listening to what you're saying. For me, honestly, I feel the exact same way, because now I have my book on web novel, and I do understand like how web novel has everything designed to where like they at least want you to write, what is it, like once or twice a week or something like that, 1 or 2 chapters a week or something like that. So I feel the exact same way, because if you stop, right, you're still having those numbers go up of people that are reading it. But I started noticing that it started moving a little bit slower when I stopped writing, right? Um, but my thing for you is, because you've written so many chapters for my vampire story, do you think, as a writer that created the book that you've created, like where would you want to see it? Is there an idea in your mind as writing this story? I know it's an idea for the TV show or a movie or something like that, but do you ever see in your mind it being like a crossover into a whole nother universe, or is it something more of just a standalone for you, where Quinn Talon can stand by himself, and it's just really going to be, like you said, like the Harry Potter type of situation?
Yeah, I actually have other books with other main characters, and I do want to make it. So I have my dragon system, my werewolf system, and it's all the same timeline. And I do have the idea to create this final book where all the main characters meet and things like that. I wouldn't have it so crossed over, because I think that's part of the problem with Marvel and DC, is there's too much crossover where people have to you have to really read everything, or you don't know, you feel like kind of left out, which is why I kind of prefer manga in a way, because it's more linear. But I do love those links when it does happen, like with Avengers and stuff. So that's why I do want to include it a little bit for those fans that are like extra fans, but then also not so much where it's like you have to read absolutely everything. In terms of like do I see this being like something else? It's really difficult because I actually I started doing comics, not novels,
Mhm.
and basically my dream was always to have like a comic or a webtoon or manga, not to write novels. And I actually started writing novels to fund the artists for creating the comics. And then the novels were just a bigger hit. I made more money from the novels, so I stopped the comics. And then I
Right.
realized like now I have 4 or 5 comics in production. And it's like,
Mm.
well, if your novel gets big, it turns into a comic anyway.
Right.
And then it goes on to all that stuff. So I never even thought like, oh, I'm going to write this. It's going to become a comic. It's going to become an anime and stuff like that. But it's just, it just comes like that now. So
That's dope.
You got what you wanted.
Gotcha.
It came full circle.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I noticed you mentioned not only authors like Harry Potter and I guess who Tolkien from Lord of the Rings, but again you have a strong background in manga knowledge and anime knowledge, right? So I've also been kind of really digging into a lot of my anime, and again, you have one of those elements that has been showing up in the anime, which is a game like element to to the system and the power development of your characters. Um, what what inspired you to go that route with the game like quality in the element of your story?
yeah, I was actually like, so a lot of people, because now solo leveling is popping off everywhere. A lot of people then see
First one I
the
thought of.
now when people see solo leveling, they're like, it's weird because I get vice versa. It's like you have people going, "Oh, did this is just a copy of solo leveling, right?" And then you have people also comment the other way around, where I've seen readers go, "Oh, have you seen solo leveling? Did they copy my vampire system?" Because it's weird because of Pocket FM, vampire system is really popular outside the anime crowd. So yeah, I've got like mums reading it. I've got like 50, 60-year-olds with their kids, stuff like that, which is not the typical shonen anime crowd, which is like young adults. So
Right.
it's weird because then now they're getting into solo leveling because of that. But solo leveling was not an inspiration because I was really into a lot of it was there's another comic series called The Gamer, which came out in like 2012, and
Okay.
that whole concept was the system thing. That was the whole concept of it. And then I saw stuff like reincarnated into a slime, things like that, which also have a system in it. And then I thought, oh, I
Shangri-La
think I could do
Frontier.
really, yeah. And I just thought I could do something really cool with vampires because with the blood needing to consume, I thought, what if like, because I always love stories where you can put yourself in the main character's shoes. And the idea of being a vampire seemed like, is it a good or bad thing, right? Super fast, super powerful, but you gotta like consume blood. You can't be in daylight, stuff like that. So I just thought that'd be really interesting play on the system. I have read Solo Leveling and everything after, but yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not because of Solo Leveling.
Got it. Um,
Jack, this is kind of a random off the wall question, but if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Um, oh, I don't know. I really don't. I'd really. Um, that's so hard. Like I think maybe something like it's like more realistic like teleportation or something.
mhm.
Just then I can because you have to. When I think about these questions, right, I think about it, how does it fit into the real world? And it's like, if you look at Spider-Man, right, even though he had, which is why I kind of like it, like he's still broke, even though he has superpowers and stuff. So it's like, in the real world, if you have superpowers, it's like maybe you'd be a TV sensation for a year and then you would fall off because really you can't do anything if you're the only person with superpowers, right? 'Cause you can't really be a superhero. So that's the thing that I look into it. So it's like, okay, what's practical? Teleportation. I can travel the world. I can be wherever I want really quick. Maybe I could, go to some billionaires and go, hey, I'll get you there really quick if you pay me X amount, stuff like that. So yeah.
So where would you teleport to? Any
Well,
specific-
so it's. I mean, for me, like, so I live in China at the moment, and I go back to the UK a lot. I go to Singapore. I have to travel a lot, and so literally, it would be great to like most of my friends are from the UK, so it'd be great to just like go there now, talk to my friends, hang out, and then come back to China, hang with my wife, stuff like that. So yeah.
That man said free travel time and instant at the same
I'm
time.
on that travel for sure. Too busy.
I have to wait
Most
for
definitely.
TSA.
All right.
Repeat that.
I
Sorry,
wanna
what
I
was
wanna
that?
dig into your main character. Look, I'm sorry. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Oh, I thought Gorilla asked something.
No, all I said was that you wouldn't have to wait in line for TSA.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, very true, very true.
Okay. So I wanna get a little bit more character specific. Your main character, Quinn Talon. All right. Where do you rank him in the vampire lore? And let's call it, give him his full power, fully developed Quinn Talon. Does he stack up? Right? Could he take Blade? Could he take Null? Could he take Dracula?
Uh, I think Blade, yeah, but the thing is, not probably not like Null and stuff, but because but this is based. I gotta say, this is based off movies because I've only seen Blade movies. I haven't I haven't read the comics.
Right.
Because obviously at the end of Vampire System, Quinn near enough becomes a god, like can destroy planets, whatever stuff like that. So it's like, if you get to that level, this is what happens when you have a huge 2,500 chapter series. They have to keep going stronger to the point where they're fighting gods, right? um but and I think from what I know of Blade is more grounded in same thing. It's more grounded in reality rather than god level fighting, from what I've read. Maybe the same thing as Blade keeps going on, etc. They have to make him fight gods and vampire gods and stuff like that. So but that question is always interesting to me, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's whoever's writing the story decides who wins. Like so it's like, these people always have these things like, oh, let's take this character from this story and put him up against this character, and it's fun to do. It's really fun. But then people get so
Yeah.
realistically heated over it, and it's like, no, literally the author just decides who's going to win. Like, you can make up some ass pull or whatever. Yeah.
Right. They call it OP in the comics, right? Because the same thing with Superman, same thing with Batman. Batman has no powers, but for some reason he could take down anybody. It's called, to me, I call it the power of being the star of the show. If you're the star of
Yeah.
the show, you can't die.
Yeah.
Who's up? Let me see. All right, who would you have if you could get MVS done either live action or anime? Who would you have produce your film?
It's quite hard. I'm not in the in the realm of like producers. I don't know, or production companies. I don't know a lot. So I don't know like, oh, who's done something really good, or because I think the other problem is it would have to be to get everything. It would have to be a TV series rather than like a movie. And then when I look at like fantasy TV series, um, I can't think of any that recently have been like a standout that covered that like sci-fi um, kind of mix that have done like really well. Obviously, you had like Star Wars, Mandalorian, and I'm trying to think of other like kind of like sci-fi fantasy. Oh, like maybe the latest Lord of the Rings with Amazon and stuff. But um,
Okay.
th- they're all okay, right? They're not. No one's like constantly talking about it. Like the last big thing I can think of where everyone was talking about it was Game of Thrones until the last season. But that's the only thing that I can see where people were talking about it nonstop. Um, so it's really Vampire System's a really hard spot because it's that mix of sci-fi and fantasy, and I think they're one of the highest budget shows to produce. Um, and then you have this line of because my writing was more towards anime, you have this line of cheesiness. Now they've done it really well in movies now. So I think like if you remember back like 10 or 20 years, probably 20 years ago now, but all the comic movies were horrible. They were too cheesy. They were too all these game adaptation movies. They they couldn't get the cringe like out of it. But now, with movies, they kind of it's just enough to be like, oh, that's cool, but not cringy. It's not cheesy. So they've kind of worked it out with movies, but with game adaptations and anime live action adaptations, they still haven't figured it out. I feel like um, with Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that, it just hasn't. I can't. Death Note hasn't worked out into a live action format yet. So that's what
Right.
would scare me about a vampire live action. Whereas anime, you could probably do it beat to beat.
Okay. I could definitely see that. 'Cause
Yeah,
that was probably going to be one of my next things if you had seen, like, what is it, Underworld, Interview with a Vampire, or Van Hell, if there was like a style or that would kind of inspire, how your vision would
yeah.
come about.
I mean, Otherworld was a big inspiration for Vampire System. So was Blade. I think I've talked about this in a few interviews. Like my main issue was I don't know if I should blame Twilight or not, but like after Twilight, all vampire stories were more romance, um, and it wasn't that like back to that cool lore of like superpower, strong, etc. So I wanted to create an action vampire series rather than a romance vampire series, and even
Okay.
now it kind of puts people off because they see vampire and they think, oh, it's a vampire story, and it's like, no. Like if I go out on the street and I say, oh, I write about vampires, then people are like, oh my god, like you write about, and then I have to say, no, no, action, like action vampires are not writing romance stories. So
Right.
That's
That's
interesting.
crazy.
how did you guys find was Vampire System from the Pocket FM adverts then?
Pocket FM. I was
For
avid
me,
listener.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, you scrolled into my algorithm, and I stopped and I said, "This seems interesting," and I listened, and then I looked, and I read, and I said, "Okay, okay, he's got something here." Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
hey, man,
those
the, Your progress is
I
to
was
be
gonna say,
commended, sir.
I was gonna say those adverts, like I said, it's a mixed bag of love and hate with me. Like, because there's some really unhinged adverts they do now at the moment, like, oh, careful, don't drink her blood, she has STIs. Oh, Quinn's like, and then they added like this whole extra bullying like arc and ex-girlfriends and revenge ex-girlfriends, and it gets really confusing because people watch these adverts and then they get really into that story, and then they go into Pocket FM and it's not that story that was advertised, and then they're like, where's that story? I want to see that story. And it's like, well, that's not a story, they're just adverts. And I have to explain to people, Pocket FM only have a license for the audiobook, but which is why these adverts, like, they're just either making up their own stuff. It's all just to go to the audiobook. Same with, because the other thing is people get really confused. They're like, oh, is there a live action series? Because there's like that 20-minute live action adverts they did. And they did like 4 different versions of it. They've got one where it's mainly a black cast. They've got one that's got one guy from Darman. They've got one that's like a completely different actor, and they all cover the same thing, or these 20-minute live action. And then people are like, oh, I want to watch the TV series. Where's the TV series? And then someone makes a fake IMDb post about it being a TV series, and it's never been a TV series. And then I'm correcting people because people are like, oh, it was a TV series. And then I'm writing saying it was never a TV series, it's just an advert. And then they'll link me the IMDb and say, look, it was. And I goes, I'm literally the author. There's no TV series. There's no life. No, because people know
The
the plot. They
secret is
don't read.
out, people. You gotta read. You gotta read.
But look though, so because you said that, because you just said what you just said. My question to you is, but I get it though, right? So was my vampire system never meant to have that high school appeal to it? Because the way that they've set it up, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like it has that high school appeal to where, it's going to go across the board, right? Marketing wise, it's going to reach young and old. So was that the whole concept for you, or as you were writing? No, it's not about a high school setup. It's about this guy that I'm creating
So
that has his own thing going on. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I think so sorry for 2 of those things. I think the first thing is it is meant to have that high school feeling at the beginning. I like writing that period of time because everyone has been to high school, so they can think back to whether they're, they can relate to it in some way of, oh, what would it have been like when I was in high school, if I went through this. But in terms of high school setting, if for those who've read the story, they'll see like that's only day 1. It goes high school to military school to change all the powers and sci-fi and stuff like that. So the way Pocket FM has advertised it, I think honestly that's probably just due to budget. So it's easier for them to just rent out a high school or get a and then just film around that and then film more parts around that rather than trying to make it go along. So I think that's why. But I did want that feeling at the beginning of like, oh, you're with your friends, groups, stuff like that, going through all this stuff together. What would it be like?
If I can hop in here, and again, I'm sorry, this isn't like really related to what we're talking to right now, but I think for anyone who starts something, you try to visualize that end goal in terms of being hugely successful, financially independent. I mean, now that you've seen so much success, like what's been the impact, and like, how do you stay motivated to keep pushing? How do you keep coming back and feel inspired, right? Because you've already achieved that level of success that it's probably bigger than you might have envisioned, right? So like, how does that, how do you handle that?
That's so interesting because it's like the journey is more fun than the actual endpoint. So like I said before, it was like, oh, I really wanted a comic, right? And you're really excited and you're writing for this. Or let's take it back even further. I used to be a music teacher, and I was writing on the side. And I was writing my vampire system every day while being a music teacher. And I was thinking, oh, I can't wait for this. This has a chance to be my full-time job. And then my vampire makes enough. I quit my teaching job, keep on writing vampire system. And it's like, then when it becomes a reality, it feels really weird. And same thing, like when I got the comic, it was like really exciting. It's really good for the day. And then all of that kind of disappears. And it's like, oh, okay, I've got a comic now, and so the journey and everything build up in your head is really, big. Same like, um, so what you said, like I have enough to kind of stop writing. Like I can just live off the earnings of vampire and investments and stuff. But it's it's really weird. It's like when you get there, like you dream of having a big house, you move into a big house, and then you're like, okay, it's not as great as you thought it would be. And you're always dreaming about, oh, it'd be really nice to live in a big house, have a fast car, stuff like that. And then when you get that stuff, you're like then I drive my like wife's car or something like that, and then it's like, oh, this is fine. This isn't, so all these is really weird. You build this image of like of what you want, and then when you get it, it's not, it's almost all that adrenaline goes. But what you said as well, when my vampire system was getting big, I was writing 8 to 10 chapters a day, right? Because I was chasing rank 1 on web novel, and I was trying to stay there for as long as possible. So I reached rank 1, stayed there for a long time. And now I write a lot again, but before, for the last like 3 years, I just wrote 3 chapters a day, which is it's about an hour and a half's work for me. So it's like it's quite relaxing, right? So it's I don't write 12 or 8 chapters like I used to do, not chasing it anymore because I don't have to. But I'm still in a period where I want my books to do well. I still enter the web novels having a new competition. I still enter competition that keeps me motivated. Just the thought of, oh, let's try make another vampire system, right? Let's try make another big hit. That's very motivating. But I think there's also, being a writer, there's also the fear of I'm earning good money now, but one day something could happen because you're your own boss, you're your own thing. So maybe like we lose all the money somehow, or just the books completely fall off. Nothing gets popular. And I'm 28 years old, so I got to think for the next 60 years. So I got to think. My wife's pregnant. She's we're due in 4 weeks.
Congratulations.
So
My God, that's huge. Boy or girl?
So it's a boy.
Yeah.
But so I've got to think of all that, right? So I got to keep writing for that as well. It's like you're always writing to, I want him to have everything he can have, my kids have, my wife and stuff like that. So for now, that's because I would love it. I wish I had like JK Rowling money where you don't have to write a book ever. But at the moment, it's like,
you don't have that yet.
No.
I was talking to Chris, right? I was talking to Chris, who's been asking you questions one day, and I was telling him one time I went on to Google and I can't find the page anymore, right? But when you're talking about J.K. Rowling, I found her page and I found like the royalties that she was getting within like a quarter, right? So like that's three months, right? She had made like I think it was 17.5 million within a quarter off of Harry Potter. And I was like, oh my God, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, hey, I hope that vampire system really gets to that point because I mean it's already getting there. Like it's already done, but you just never know, man. Next thing you know, you're gonna have we'll go to Six Flags or something here in the U.S. and you'll have that roller coaster ride at Six Flags. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
would
your
love
work
that.
is
Balance,
Yeah,
amazing, man. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what. So that's what I mean. Like, if I would love to get to the point because I would still want to write. But where I could
Mm.
write like a chapter a week. At the moment, I still have to write every day, and that's still quite a pressure. So it's like, oh, I love doing what the best thing is. I'm a writer, a full-time writer, so I can take breaks when I want, stuff like that. But I still write every day. I probably it's really weird because maybe I've got into a habit now because I keep saying I have to write every day, and then I think I just got like last month's royalty check, and then someone was like, why do you even write?" Right. So it's a bit yeah, I don't know if it's habit or fear. Like for me, like I said, with the kids and everything, maybe it's like, oh, I don't think it's enough, right? You
Yeah,
get to that point where it's never enough. And
it's
then
never enough. Exactly.
yeah, and it's a really weird feeling. Lifestyle inflation is a real thing as well because a lot of the times you really think like, oh well, I could live. I see comments all the time like, oh, if I had that much money, I'd be fine, I'd be set, I'd have no problems, no nothing.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
and it doesn't kind of come like that. You decide to have more children, you decide to have a bigger car to help them, you decide to have a bigger place, one with a nicer garden.
Mm.
It's not all
Absolutely.
about selfish things. And then it's like, okay, if we want to take our kid to, yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, if we want to take our kid to a good school in China, because I want it to study English, I need to take it to international school, and
Mm.
they're like 50K a year. And it's
Mm.
like,
Mm.
but all of a sudden, when you have two kids, it's 100K a year, and then three kids is
Right.
150K a year. So
hmm
it
Yeah, it is.
really,
Right.
it really builds up, right? So,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, I had enough money to send my kid to public school for the rest of his life, and me to live in a normal apartment for the rest of life, but not to send three kids to international school, to university, stuff like that. So I think
Gotcha.
that's what at the moment is driving me to still keep
Right.
writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick question. For my vampire system, when we're talking about TV shows, right? Um, would it be for you Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime? What do you see for your vision in terms of your story? Like, where would you want that to land in terms of a network?
Yeah, I actually this is great because I got asked this for I do another webtoon, and that got picked
Mm-hmm.
up by the production company Bad Robots by J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
Um,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very
and
familiar with Bad Robot. Yeah.
yeah, and then they said, when we're talking about deals, because this was for anime, not for live action, they were saying,
Mm-hmm.
would you rather be on Crunchyroll, which is like known for all of the anime, or would you
Mm-hmm.
rather be on Netflix? And for me, I was like, actually, probably Netflix. And the reason why I say that is none of my family or friends read my work. None of
Mm-hmm.
them like they just don't. It's just not their thing. None of my friends are into anime. None of my friends read. None of my friends like so.
But they all got a
Um,
Netflix account.
Hey,
yeah, they've all got Netflix. Uh,
Right.
Everyone's got Netflix. My dad's got Netflix. So it's like if it's on
Everybody's got a
Netflix,
Netflix
then
account.
my dad can watch it. My family can watch it. They would finally actually be willing to watch it. So that's why, like Amazon Prime, same thing. It's like, oh, Amazon Prime, not everyone has, but everyone has Netflix. So if it was a live action,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say just because I want as many people as possible to be able to watch it, it would have to be on Netflix. But I saw some few things with like
Netflix is
Netflix
no
like not
stranger to
promoting
the
new
anime
shows.
either.
Oh, sorry.
what were you saying?
I was just saying Netflix is no stranger to anime either.
The only thing I'd
Yeah,
be
yeah. I
worried
mean,
about with Netflix,
yeah.
excuse me, the only thing I would be worried about Netflix is, because I've been paying attention to them closely as well. Um, they have a habit, right, of just cutting things off after the second season. That's the only thing I would be worried about, right, as a writer. So I don't know how you feel about that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had one season that did really well, then the second season does okay, and the next thing you know, they say, okay, well we're done, right? But sometimes some things peek through or break through the realm of Netflix, and in a way, you got to be just a little bit lucky to hit that. You know what I'm saying? That plateau to break through to get that third season or fourth season, because Netflix has always just been quick to just be like, you know what, we're done. That's the only thing I don't like personally. But I love Netflix though. You know what I mean? So, what are your thoughts on
Well,
that?
No, I definitely agree. I think the reason why I'm not too about that too much is like I said, I do a couple of comics with Webtoon, and it's the same
Mm,
thing where they split up into seasons as well, and if season one doesn't do well, it gets axed, and they want to keep the shows that actually become more popular in season two. Those are the ones
okay.
which is a rarity for like, oh, season two is bigger than season one, and then they kind of know they've got a hit on their hands. So
Right.
I'm kind of used to that, but I do agree with you. Like I've seen as well, Netflix don't do a lot of like promotion for their series.
Right.
There was a new series that was recently on their new anime, and the producers were complaining that they had done nothing not to promote it. They kind of just put it on the front page of Netflix and then just hope people check it out.
Mm,
But equal to that, like I remember like in the past, like Bleach was like a huge thing, right? And then I think
hmm
I don't know who got Bleach. I think the latest seasons of Bleach is on like Disney or something, I think. And
Okay.
just no one's talking about it. And I feel like part of the
I
reason
think
is
on
because it's
Netflix
not
too.
on well, I can't remember, but like I said, the latest season, whatever it's called, the new remake or whatever, the last part of the manga they're doing, um,
Oh yeah.
is like exclusive to one of the platforms, and I feel like that might be why no one's talking about it.
Gotcha.
So,
It's
so
almost
that's my worry.
I
It's like
do
if it's
know.
on,
a little bit.
I do know. Q and I have always been talking about Outer Banks, right? Q, Outer Banks. So they've
Yeah,
been lucky enough on Netflix. Yeah, they've been lucky enough on Netflix to hit. What was it? 4 seasons, 4 or 5 seasons, something like that. So
they're going on four
yeah.
right now, I think. But
Okay.
and
Yeah.
their budget's been crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
well,
there's
I mean,
no action to it. It's more of a storyline. It's more of a story than like a lot of action, but it's still a great story. So, with being sci-fi and fantasy for my vampire system, it's going to it'll definitely take a bigger budget for all that. But um, man, the story, I love the story, man. I love the story. I was actually getting into the story today. Oh, and here's another question for you, because I want to know about this, right? The uh Quintalin's, I guess if you would call them his enemies or whatever, the Balkis. Am I correct? The Balkis. What what are their strengths and weaknesses, and how does he handle that?
Actually, I remember. I think I took that from like Dragon Ball Z, where like
Okay.
um, I think it was like I think it's the sayings where like the more they get hurt, the stronger they get.
Yeah,
Which
Mm,
was the
it is.
idea
Uh-huh.
between for the Dalkies, and then I always loved. I can't remember what show it'd be, but I loved the idea of something to clearly show their strength, which was like the spikes on their back. And I thought
right.
that was a really good gauge to know, like, oh crap, like you're screwed if there's 5 or 6 spikes rather than 2 spikes and stuff. So I just really liked that type of feeling, but I can't remember where I took that. Um, inspiration from. But it because it gets, of all the games you play, all the shows you watch and everything, it's like I kind of take what I like from stuff and then try make my own spin of it on the stories. But yeah, it's hard to remember.
Wow. I was watching an ad on YouTube, and it had Quinn in it, right? And he was in front of an audience. So I don't know where this is coming from because, like you said, you got 2,500 chapters. I'm still getting into it. But he was standing on stage, or actually, no, he was with his girlfriend at the time. He had to get up on stage, right? And he had already had fights that were going on with those guys. Um, but he had to get up on stage and he was getting ready to tell everybody who he was, right? But he kept it to himself still, and there was a officer that he had befriended, right? And he told him to get out of there and all that. So I don't know what chapter we're getting to in terms of that because there were so many ads that were popping up that I had to go to Pocket FM to keep up with the story because it was just it's so many ads out here right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give it away to everybody that's watching right now or wants to pay attention and listen. But I got so enthralled with your story, right? Because it goes from the gaming system of him opening the book up, figuring out that okay, my nose is bleeding, and it hit the book, and everything opens up. Now I get what my parents had, and now we're here. My whole question for you is like, where do we go from here? Because you have 2,500 chapters, right? And you're done, of course, with the story. I think maybe you're not. I don't know. But where do we go from here? And that's why I was asking you about like crossing over or how do you extend the universe? Are there other people that's a part of the same universe or other characters that you've created to bring everything together from all the characters that you've been writing and focusing on? Or like I said, is this a standalone or something that you want to bring together as just one universe? Same way like George Lucas had did for, Star Wars.
Mm.
And he also
I think
has standalone, so.
I think the great thing about it, so the reason why it can go on for so long and so well is because it's sci-fi, right? And when you get
Right.
into that, you do have really like they go to other planets. You'll see the students go to other planets on expeditions, stuff like that. I think like there's a little bit of spoiler, but like the first planet Quinn goes to is a very hot, sunny planet, so that he has to deal with that problem. Because of that, it's really, you can make the world so big. Same with Dragon Ball Z, right? Because it was to do with aliens, planets. It was like you could always have a new enemy come up because the universe is so big. And it was kind of same with Vampire System, always making it feel fresh by exploring new worlds, new planets, new societies, new ways, and then how everything can kind of work. Whereas if you had a story where, it's just based on Earth or just based on that, just high school, like you just limit it to high school and then that's it. You can't really make that go on for 2,500 chapters. I think like the whole school thing ends by volume 2 because it's just like I couldn't do an 8-volume. It would feel very samey to do 8 volumes of just them at school and stuff like that. So
Where can people find the paperbacks and or hard books?
So there's no paperback or hard book cover yet, or
Okay.
I don't know if they ever will be, because I think Web Novel is a platform publisher, so they want people to go over to the platform and read it from there. Because I think like you can get 70 books on Kindle, and then it just stops you in a random point. You have to go onto Web Novel to finish the whole story. So yeah, I don't think they'd ever. I can't say like never ever. There's obviously a point where I think the annoying thing is, so people always ask me this as well. I didn't sign with Pocket FM, so a lot of people ask me like, Pocket FM so expensive. Why did you give them? I just want it to be on Audible or just sign it as a whole book. Why do I have to unlock it per chapters? And I explained that I don't actually own the rights to my vampire system. When I signed with Web Novel, I signed everything over to them. So all the movie rights, all the TV rights, all the game rights, everything is with Web Novel. Now, I do have pre-written like royalty percentages for whatever deals they make. And Web Novel is owned by Tencent, which is a huge company in China.
Yeah.
In China,
So yeah, they do have big push, big industry connections and stuff like that. But I'm not the decision maker at the end of the day. So I had no part in, does it go to Pocket FM? If an anime company or producer or whatever comes to me, I don't have the final say. I have to pass it on to Web Novel, who passes it through Tencent to say, is this good or not a good deal? So I think part of that is the same with the physical book deals. What they typically like to do, I know Netflix is like this as well, is if you sell a series to them, they want to buy all the rights. So they also want publishing rights. They also want game rights, because Netflix wants to have the whole IP to make more money than just the TV series. I think that's part of why they won't sell the book rights yet, because if they are going to make a live action or something like that, then it also makes the publishing rights more valuable, because then you can go to a publisher, say, look, TV series, movies coming out, you got to pay more for my vampire system.
Okay.
Are you happy with that arrangement?
Right.
So
you do
I'm happy. So this what.
Okay.
Yeah, so I say I'm happy because my vampire system became a big success and a huge hit at the end of the day, which I really don't think it would have happened if I just put it on Amazon. I don't have advertising money. I don't have, to make all these adverts and push. Pocket FM people don't realize this. Pocket FM spend millions on advertising, right? And it's why people find the story. And I wouldn't have that push. People always like, why don't you just upload to YouTube? It's like, well, you only know the story because Pocket FM are advertising it. If I just published it to YouTube, no one would know about it. So I don't regret it, because everything that's come from it. But if your book doesn't do well, and Web Novel have all the rights, then you've lost that whole book. There's nothing you can do with it. So it's that I say, like, you make what you make. If you make $5, you make $5. If you make $100,000, you make $100,000. And but the problem is, regardless of $5 or $100,000, they have the rights, and that's kind of the problem. So I say, if you are writing for Web Novel, that you have to be a person that just has 10 or 20 ideas, and you don't mind to give one to them and see if it makes it or not.
So was that your vibe, your feeling when you did it? Like when you sold the rights, or were you thinking as a writer, like, and I don't know if you talked to an attorney, I'm pretty sure you did, but did you say to them, or did they say to you, like, hey, let's make a revert clause just in case, or you're like, nah, I got plenty more books, I'm okay with all that, I'm good?
So, or was it more like I know I'm giving away this one to further the cause, and then
right,
I won't give away the rights to my other books, right?
Because George Lucas did the same thing, you know what I'm saying, for the first Star Wars.
Yeah, no. So like, actually, so when you sign over your rights to Web Novel, there is no, because your book is nothing yet when they come to approach you. So there is no fee, there is no nothing like that. And the way they work is more similar to Asian company styles in Korea and stuff like that, where people follow the companies, not the authors. So they're waiting for that company to make the next big hit. So like, you see this in the K-pop industry, where people are following that K-pop company and seeing what group is going to come out. They're not actually following the group. And it's the Web Novel and these Asian companies, they work kind of the same way, where they'll just have loads of contracts with loads of writers, and then let's see what becomes a hit. So now, give an example with my next book that I released, my werewolf system, I didn't sign that over to web novel. I did that myself, but it has also earned nowhere near as much compared to my vampire system, and hasn't gotten the same type of deals as my vampire system. So I have had more freedom of like getting game deals, getting comic deals and stuff like that, but it hasn't been as successful as web novel. So there's a bit of like risk. So, and as I said before, I never planned to be a writer, so I wasn't like these other creatives where they're like, I poured 5 years into this one story. I really don't want to give the rights away. I really don't want to, you know. I was just like, oh, I want to write. There's no vampire stories. I'll write a vampire story, not expecting it to become a whole thing. But even if I thought it would, as I said before as well, I could never probably write an actual book. So the web novel style of updating every day is the only way I could have really done it, to be honest. So that's why I don't regret it. But I can see other people not wanting to do it.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I wish you could stay longer. I know we're at that time. Hopefully, this is hopefully you come back again. Maybe
Please.
when you drop something else, or you got some free time after the baby. I doubt that, but and real quick, since we got you here, I hate to put you on the spot, but is there anything you want to share to all the folks, tuning in? Your time to just share whatever's top of mind, anything that's really important to you that you want to get off your chest.
Well, I would say one thing. Like, people all keep asking me, like, so three things. People keep asking me: anime, TV show, and comic. So first thing that I can 100% say is Vampire System comic is coming out second half of this year. The rights was sold 3-4 years ago. There was a whole load of problems, but now it's finally, there's so much behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. It's finally coming out. In terms of anime and TV, I am working on it. It's a lot harder than people think. You need to find investors, production, it's not just like this book is popular, let's make this a TV or anime. Especially if you want it authentic, getting a Japanese studio, stuff like that. Japan is very not open to working worldwide. So yeah, I feel hopefully next time I'll have some good news. It is in the works but nothing signed yet. So as soon as something's signed, it's like I'm happy to announce all that stuff.
That's awesome. Congratulations. We can't wait to hear more as that develops. So thank you so much.
One last thing. I'm sorry. Real quick, is there anything or any advice that you would want to give to other aspiring writers out there that may want to try taking this path?
Yeah. So first thing, read what is popular in your genre, even if you don't like it. Because if you want to be successful, you kind of have to. In fact, if you don't like it or you think it's not your thing, then definitely read it and analyze why it's popular. Why are people, otherwise your book just won't sell. So you need to read works that you typically don't like but are popular, to not have that this thought of, I can write something better. Why isn't my book will do 10 times better type thing, And then the second thing is, just publish. I met so many people that say, like, I've been writing this book for years and stuff like that, and it's like, well, no one's gonna see it, So you just gotta just put it out there, publish it online, whatever. You don't have to go through manuscripts anymore. You don't have to go up to publishers. But if you're just gonna keep it on your computer, you don't know if you're gonna have a hit or not. So just put it out there, put it on whatever, web novel, Wattpad, whatever, or send it to publishers. Just don't leave it on your computer. I think in music they say, write 100 songs, scrap the first one, and 101 will be better than the last 100. So it's the same thing. Just publish story. Don't don't stick to this idea that you have this one great IP, because you can just make the next one, and you'll learn from whatever you didn't do right in the last one. So just don't think make it perfect, don't perfect it, just release it, get feedback, move on, and work on the next one until you get a big hit.
I agree.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Just get started, people. If you love something, you're passionate about it, do something about it. Love that.
Get your Nike on. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks again for hanging out. It's such a pleasure to have you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With all this success, maybe on the way. You're absolutely crushing it. Big fans here. Thank you.
You.
Thank you for having me, guys, and yeah, good luck to you all, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your night.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yes,
You do
sir.
the
Much
same. Thank
continued
you.
success to you.
Good night. Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. You know what it is. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. TMH, JKS, Manga, Jack. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you guys so much.
Does big fake